So I am making pizza dough today for a pizza crust that I'm gonna cook in my cast iron skillet. And so first, and actually I'm making enough dough for 2 crusts, one that I'll keep in the fridge for a week, and then I can have it again next week. So this is 2 cups of flour, just regular all-purpose flour, and you make a little well in it, and you add 4 teaspoons of olive oil. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Then I've got in here, I've got 2/3 and 2 tablespoons of warm water with a teaspoon and a half of dry yeast that's been sitting for a few minutes. So it's starting to bubble, and so that's almost ready. Then I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt to my flour. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the water. And I'm just going to start mixing it in together like this. And when that gets mixed in, then I bring in a little bit more. And then some more. I'm eventually going to use it all up. We just mix it in a little at a time. Kind of starts the kneading process that way. And then look the end of it here. And it's going to be kind of sticky. And just keep incorporating all this excess flour here. And then I'm just going to knead it in the bowl. You can take it out of the bowl if you want to and put it on a floured surface. But I find this is just as easy. And I don't have to get it out there on the board. Kind of peel all this off of your fingers and add it into the mix. So we're going to knead it for a little while. Might be about 15 minutes. So I will come back when it's all kneaded. Okay, so we're getting close to being done, but I wanted to just share with you. Some people aren't quite sure about kneading. So what you're doing is you're folding it in on itself. And if your dough is a little bit sticky, then just add a little bit of flour on the bottom. You don't want too much flour because then your dough gets tough. So it's just a matter of folding and turning and folding and turning. And what you want is a dough that that is kind of elastic. See how it's kind of elastic? And it's smooth. It's not sticky. And so this is just about ready. And you can take, like I said, about 15-20 minutes it might take. But it's good to give it a rest a couple of times. You can let it rest for 1 or 2 minutes, and that's also good for your hand, because your hand gets a break too. So, okay, so that is the dough, and now I'm just forming it into a ball, and I'm going to leave it in this bowl, and I'm going to cover it with a cloth for an hour, and I'll be back. Now I'm going to make some fresh tomato sauce. That will be the sauce for my Margherita pizza later on today. So first I need about 3 tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, and let me wash them a little bit here first. And a box grater. We're trying a new technique here. We are going to box grate these tomatoes. To get a nice, get the juice out, and to kind of takes away the skin. Also, you leave the skin out, which makes your pizza sauce a little bit more maybe 2's enough. Well, let's do 3. We can always use this extra tomato sauce for something else. Okay, so that's the grated part. Now we need to strain that a little bit. Strain the sauce out of it, the liquid out of it. So I'm just gonna set this like that and leave it sit like that for about 10-15 minutes. And I'll be back. Okay, so while I'm waiting for this to finish up, I'm going to, got my garlic here, and I'm gonna add a little bit of salt to my mortar and pestle. I'm going to grind this down. Doing this gets it a little bit finer than using a garlic press. And this is a great tool for making salad dressings too. I can just make my salad dressing right in here. right, now that that's fine enough, and I've got plenty of the liquid out of here, I'm going to pour this back in this other bowl. And I'm going to add some olive oil here. It works. I can kind of scrape the sides down, and I can add all of that to my sauce. And then I'm going to add some garlic, or oregano, sorry. And this is whole oregano, so I'm going to crumple it up a little bit. And then this is the tomato paste that I browned a little bit. I'm going to add that here as well. Mix it all up. Have a little bit of a taste. Need some salt. And a little pepper. All right, that is ready to, it's gonna sit and rest and be ready to put on my pizza when I'm ready to make my pizza. While I'm back, it's been an hour, our dough has risen, and so now I'm going to punch it down. And turn it into another ball, and I'm actually going to cut it in half, because this is when I take half of it and I'm going to put it in a plastic container and refrigerate it for up to a week. If you do it longer than a week, then it loses its oomph from the yeast. Okay, so now I put it back in a ball, and I cover it again, and it sits for another half hour. Ready to turn this pizza dough into a pizza crust. And so I put a little flour on my board, and then my skillet is in the oven, and my oven is preheating to about 500 degrees. And so I just want to stretch this out. It's a 10-inch skillet. So I'm just taking this dough and stretching it until it gets approximate. And while I was waiting for the dough to finish rising, I opened a fresh mozzarella, which I'm going to slice to go on top. So I have that. I have grated some fresh Parmesan cheese. I like grating it fresh because I think it tastes better. And then I have some fresh basil that I'll put on top of the pizza once it comes out of the oven. Okay, so that is ready. Now I'm going to take out my skillet and be very careful because it is very hot. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of cornmeal over the bottom. And then I'm just going to lay this in here like this. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of olive oil on it. And brush it on the crust. Like that. And then I'm going to pop it back in the oven for just a couple of minutes so that it starts to rise a little bit in there and starts to rise and starts to bubble and rise a little bit before I add the other items to it. So this is my tomato sauce that I made earlier. And it looks really, really wonderful. You can add, you could add some peppers to it. You could, like some hot peppers, you could add, I've also used pesto sauce too, a fresh pesto for the bottom layer of the pizza. And of course you can put whatever kind of toppings you want on it. I'm really in love with this fresh mozzarella Margherita pizza. And so that's pretty much how I use it. But once in a while I add some salami or I've added Italian sausage or all kinds of, you put whatever you want on it. Okay. All right, so see, it started to bubble, and now I'm just going to spread the sauce, and you can put on as much as you want. I like kind of a medium amount of sauce. It just has so much flavor to it. And then Parmesan cheese. And then layer the fresh mozzarella around. And it's ready to go in the oven. And it's about 15 minutes tops. And I will be back when it comes out of the oven. Okay, my pizza is done. Pulling it out of the oven. It looks spectacular. I'm going to take this little bit of olive oil and brush around the edges of the crust just a little bit. And for the finishing touch is some fresh cut up mozzarella, or I'm sorry, basil, fresh basil. And there you go. Margherita pizza, just for you.